Welcome to the Artist Academy podcast, a place where we focus on the business side of art to help you attract more customers, to increase your profits, to ultimately live a life of creativity and financial freedom. I'm your host, Andrea Earhart, and this week's episode is all about what to do when hiring help and it goes wrong. What to do when you're working on a job site with another artist, whether you hired them or they hired you, and you don't really mesh, or something happens and you don't know what to do about it. And we're going to play a game that is basically, what do you do when? And I'll make these scenarios that I may or may not have had experience with. I've pretty much had experience with like just about anything by now. And this is inspired because I was on a call with another artist and they asked these questions, and a couple of these questions anyway, because they were having issues with an artist that they hired. And then I got on another call, same day, same thing. And these artists they weren't asking me how to get more business. They were asking how to resolve a dispute between another artist. And I was like, I think this is a subject that I should share on the podcast. Obviously not sharing names. The last thing I would want to do is throw anybody under the bus for being a little dramatic or whatever. But both of these people asked me, they're like, have you ever had issues with this? And I just laughed because I was like, I've hired friends and we've gotten into it. I've hired people I didn't know and expectations weren't met, and people have gotten into it. Like, there's been blow-ups on job sites. There's been blow-ups right after job sites. I've overpaid artists. I've underpaid artists. In the last 12 years, I have hired so many people, and a lot have gone right. The majority have gone right. And the majority of the time we've painted, it has been great. But then it just takes one thing, one misunderstanding, one misaligned expectation for things to go bad. And you don't know how to handle it. And I handle it way better now than I used to. Let me tell you, I just give you a little bit of backstory. My mom is amazing. My mom is like a mom and a dad. My mom has no problem telling people what she does not like about them. My mom has no problem sticking up for herself. And I have gotten that from her so much to where when I was younger, it just didn't have a whole lot of tact to it, really. And then, as you go older and mature, you have to take into account other people's feelings but more so, try to put yourself in their perspective, because when somebody comes at you and it's like, you're not paying me fairly or whatever, it feels like an attack, right? And so I used to be like, yeah, well, you're come back at them. And now I'm like, okay, wait. Does what they're saying have some validity? And usually it does. And how is the best to respond to not, either to take down the level of aggravation or not cause any or whatever. But I've found that it mostly comes from misaligned expectations. And so just to get it out there before I go through any of these, if you're hiring an artist, I just want to say first and foremost, have everything in writing, know what you're going to pay them. There's a couple times where even now I'm like, I think I can pay you this. I'll at least tell them the bare minimum, because I'm like, it's hard to know how long things are going to take. It's hard to know how fast somebody is going to paint and how much time they're actually going to save you. I get it. It's really hard, but I will give them a bare minimum. And so pay is the number one thing. So before we get into this, I just want to go over what you should pay another artist when you're hiring them to work for you. There's a couple different levels, and I have hired all of these levels, which is, again, why I think I am the perfect person to talk about this. I started out hiring artists who were a little bit better than me, and they would be better at me in certain areas. And I needed that because I didn't have the confidence that I have now. I didn't have the experience. And so I would hire them on and be like, help me with this tree scene, or help me with this portrait, or help me with that. And I'll do this other area and you do this. And then we'll just kind of meet in the middle. And so I have paid them I want to say about 40% of the total job. And I realized doing that, I wasn't going to make a whole lot of money doing something like that, because about 40% of the total is a lot. And sometimes I'd even split it 50-50. And that's a lot. So what I like to do now is I really love to hire my Artist Academy students. Anytime I need help and I have a big project coming up, I will put it into the Artist Academy Facebook group and say, hey, I have a project in this area. Who's available? This is what I can provide. I can do a minimum of this. This is what I need. And now I know what I need, which is usually somebody to block in, somebody to do not the details. I just need the base coats put on, maybe a little bit of blending, little things. And I like to teach whenever I hire as well, which might not be your favorite thing, but that's what I like to do. And so I like to have it kind of a trade. I'll pay usually $20 an hour is usually what it's at for the lowest of the low. Or I'll have somebody come on and I'm like, I can do $100 a day. But the problem with having $100 a day, and I've done this in the past, is when somebody comes on and they spend 8 hours and I give them $100, and then they come in the next day and they help out for 2.5 hours, they still expect $100. And I'm like, wait. It doesn't I like to be $100 a day, and that gets you up to between 5 and 7 hours. And then if we go above or below that, then we can do this. But that way it's easy. I don't have to be oh, you got here exactly this time. I don't like to do those details. And I really like people to tell me, hey, how many hours did you work this week? Can you add it up? And they'll be like, I worked 7 hours, blah, blah, blah. I've had people try to bill me for the travel time. Sometimes I can put that. It kind of depends on the budget of the project that I'm working on. Nowadays, I price things a lot better. And so I'm able to give a bit extra, especially if the job is about an hour away. I'll be like, okay, I'll pay you, whatever, however much. Usually I'll just round up. So if they made $180 for that day, I'll round up to 200. Or it's if they made 120, I'll round up to 150 or something like that, just to give okay, here's a little bit extra. Yeah, with payment, it just kind of depends. I was talking to an artist that I coach on here, and she's mentioned that she does a trial day, which I think is a really good idea. So have somebody come out to do just a trial day. I'll pay you $100 or however much you want to do. And then you see their speed, you see what they're capable of. You give them a couple different tasks and see what they're best at. And then you decide, hey, do I want to hire you the next day, or should I go with somebody else? And that keeps you from having a contract sort of with them. But for more expensive artists, so artists that you need to come on and help you. So say if you were going to hire me on, so just hypothetical, and I've had other artists give me this pitch before. They're like, hey, I'm painting these clouds or something. And they're like, I thought of you. I don't really want to do it and I need some help. Could you come on with me? And I'm like, sure. But this is the minimum that I would need to make if I'm working with you. We can get it done really fast and blah, blah. I would set my own rate and I would ask them, does that fit in your budget? Or let me know how close you can get it and just have that open conversation. But I would respond to if somebody came to me, they're like, hey, I need you to paint clouds. I can pay you $100 an hour. You can go about it like that if you want and just be totally upfront with what you can do. But if I was going on your job, I would say, okay, how many hours are you thinking it's going to take? And then really see, because I know that I'm going to probably paint it way faster than they think. And so I'm going to negotiate my way of okay, this is going to take 2 days. This is the minimum that I would need to travel or whatever. But it is kind of nice not having to do all the invoicing and not have to get the client and all the things. So sometimes I am open to that, but it just has to be worth it financially and with the time commitment and if I'm traveling and all the things. So if you have a job that you think you could use a more experienced artist, reach out to them. You never know. And offer to split it with them, or just better yet, ask them what they would need to be paid, and just be open about what the project is and as many details as you can. But I would start it with a couple, like an Instagram message is the best way to contact me. My emails kind of fall through sometimes. So Instagram message is the best way. So if you're wanting to reach out to another artist, Instagram DM them or Facebook message, and just start the conversation there and say, call me and set up a time if you want to talk about more details. However, if you are hiring somebody who you just need them for help, and say you have a $10,000 job and you message somebody and say, hey, can I hire you for the week? We'll do a test run. I can pay you $20 an hour. And then when you're working together, you tell them, oh yeah, like this is a $10,000 job. And then they look at you and they're like, oh, well, I'm only getting paid $1,000 and I'm doing half the work. Like, is that fair? Yes, that is fair. So if you're an artist getting hired onto another job and you agree to $20 an hour, that's what you have to stick to. It can be negotiated. You can have that conversation with the artist and say, hey, especially if you get it done a lot faster than you thought, say, hey, I worked my butt off for this. We got it done way faster. I was thinking I was going to have more hours. Could I still, have the same hourly rate, but with all the hours that we thought we were going to have or something like that? That's where you have some wiggle room, but you can't go and be like, okay, well, I want at least 30% of the job if I'm helping you with 50% of it. Like that, it doesn't work like that. Go for it. Have the open conversation if that's what you're feeling. But if they say no, you can't cry about it because that's what you had agreed to. So yeah. Okay. So let's get into, now that we talked about being paid, because that's everybody's first question, right? How much should I pay them? How much is fair? How much is fair is how much they agree to, right? You can tell them I have $20 an hour or I have $30 an hour or whatever. And if somebody agrees to it, that's what they agree to. I often like to buy lunch every once in a while, and I like to give a bonus at the end of it if there's room. So like a $200 bonus or like something like that. I've given way more. I've a recent job. What I would normally pay for would probably be like $400 a day. But because it was a travel job and because the artist stayed with me in the hotel room and we travel really well and she was a really hard worker, I ended up paying her $4,000 for 5 days of work, which is kind of a lot for the level of skilled artist that she is. But I really appreciated her help. If you find somebody that you can be in a hotel room with, like in the same room, different bed, but same room, and you get along with, and they're just ready to do whatever you want. If you want to get up at 5 a.m. to paint, they're down. If you want to sleep in until 9 and paint, they're down. If you need them to go over there and do this, and like I have a girl right now with me who I just cherish because she's so down. She's such a hard worker. She's not the most like skilled in like, the technical stuff, but I don't need that because I can do that. I just need the basic stuff. I need somebody to help me load and unload. I need like all the other stuff, taping off the lines, the base coats, a little bit of highlights, and she's just so great. So I've settled into this space where I've found a really good person to work with me. And then I use some Artist Academy people for stuff here and there. But I have gone through the ringer, and it has really made me appreciate this person so much more. She actually doesn't listen to podcasts, so she's never going to hear this, but I'm probably going to tell her that I mentioned her and bragged about her a little bit, even though you don't know who it is. But I have gone through so many, and I just, it's like when you like kiss a lot of frogs and you finally find your prince, it's like you appreciate it a lot more. That's what happened to me. And that's the situation I'm in right now with somebody that I call on to work with me. If you go on my Instagram at all, you're going to see her tagged. She's a great human, but I just appreciate it so much. There's no drama. She never gets mad when I'm like, hey, can you fix that? Or blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just great. But I have found, okay, before I started this, now that I price things a lot better and I'm faster and I don't schedule my projects back to back to back to back, I leave a little bit of room. There's not that like looming deadline over us. And if she makes a mistake, which she does sometimes, I can just say, oh no, this is how you fix it. And like, I'm not like, oh my gosh, this is going to put us behind, or like, oh, does she expect me to pay for that? Like, I'm just like, it's okay. And that's the mentality that I've taken up, not just with experience, but I've also realized that a lot of the mistakes that are being made, like if they show up 10 minutes late, does it matter? No, it really doesn't. If they paint something in the wrong area and they spent 30 minutes doing it, does it matter? No, it doesn't. That little 2% of the time that is wasted does not matter in the whole 100%. It just doesn't. And so I'm a lot calmer of a boss, I guess, or I try to be, and I try to really explain myself. So, okay, let's get into this. Okay. What do you do when an artist that you're counting on cancels the day before? So I had this happen to me. I'm not going to say when. I'm not even going to allude to anything, but it was, okay, I'm like, how do I tiptoe around this to not give any clue about anything and like be respectable and like, but also tell you my point of view. I had a job and the job needed scaffolding. And so it was a 2-person job for sure. And the person that I had scheduled has worked with me for several jobs. And they were like, hey, sorry, I can't make it tomorrow, but I can make the day after and I can make the day after that. So sorry, like blah, blah. They're like in a different state. And I was like, at first, I actually got the text in the morning. And I remember being like, oh no, like you wake up, you're groggy. You're like, well, how am I going to set the scaffolding by myself? You're like, oh, I was like, I texted her. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to find somebody else. And then I text about like, then I got like woken up and I was like, okay, wait, it's actually not that big of a deal. It kind of sucks, but because I don't schedule myself back to back to back, missing a day without a helper is not the worst thing. And what I ended up doing was about an hour later, I texted her, I was like, oh, actually, it doesn't really matter. It's fine. Enjoy your time away in another state. If you could just help me the next day and the next day after, that would be great. They're like, okay, sorry. Well, I was like, no big deal. And so I reorientated my mind. I'm like, you know what? I am going to spend this day. I'm going to go up there and just take it slow. And so I started the mural by myself. I had scaffolding to put up. So I asked the business, I was like, hey, do you have like a custodian or do you have anybody who could help me set up the scaffolding? They had 5 people who came out and set it all up for me. I was like, great. Didn't need my helper. And I find that is really the case in a lot of instances, especially being a woman. Men love to help. They just do. So it's like the perks of being a pretty girl or just a woman in general. Sorry, guys, but people love to help. I mean, I bet people would like to help men too, but it's like they're just extra eager to help women. And so these young dudes came out and they were like, look at my muscles. And they like set up the scaffolding. And I was like, oh, thank you. You're so helpful. And I like sent a video to the person. I was like, look, they helped. And I don't even need you today. She's like, great. And that was no big deal. And then I just spent the day, like I tested out some colors, made sure everything was good. I did some outlines. And I was like, it's not kind of nice to have a day to get started and just have no pressure, not have to be like directing somebody into doing things because it is an extra thing on your mind, right? Sometimes I'll forget to do any video throughout the day because I'm busy like giving direction and figuring out my part and then giving her direction and then figuring out my part and then like adjusting hers and be correcting and then also figuring out my part. And you just forget to do video. And so it was nice to not have that second part on day one and just get started because again, I don't schedule myself back to back. It's okay if it's going to take a little bit longer. It's just going to take one more trip up to the mural site, which is not the worst thing in the world. And that's my motto with a lot of the things that go wrong is it's okay. Like we are not performing surgery. All of these, like we can go buy more paint. I can go take a run. I can ask someone else for help. I can do the things. The things don't really matter. And back in the day, I remember if people showed up late, I was like, what are you doing with your life? Like I wouldn't say that out loud, but like in my head, I'm like, they don't respect me. They don't, blah, blah. No, I'm like, no, it's not that they don't respect me or they don't respect the job, which they might, I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's just them, it's like their bad habits. And then showing up 15 minutes late is 1% of that job, and 1% of 100 does not matter. So if somebody shows up a little bit late, if they do it all the time, be like, hey, can you try to get here on time? You can try it if you want. But if they just keep doing it, who cares? It doesn't matter. I think the more I have just really just embodied that it doesn't matter, and that if I'm paying somebody that's $20 an hour, or like this is how my husband thinks of it, because I ask him about this quite a bit, because he has people who work under him as well. And he was like, I was like, what? Like they make mistakes all the time. And I'm like, how do you not get so frustrated? And I feel like I've learned this eventually, but it was really hard for me in the beginning. I was like, I have somebody on my job and they keep messing up and blah, blah. Now I'm like, yeah, it's paint. Anyway, fix it. Okay, thanks. But he would tell me, he was like, these people get paid $20 an hour. Like that is not enough for me to be on them and, just directing every minute of their day and just smiting them because they made a mistake. Like that's what's going to happen. To me, that is a beginner rate. And if you want somebody who's going to come on time and it's going to never make a mistake and it's going to show you how to do things, like then you hire an older artist or a more experienced one and you pay them way more. But if you're paying somebody $20 an hour, $100 a day, you can't expect that they're going to do an amazing job. You can correct them and help them and explain things, which you should do, but you can't expect them to do the job like you would do. And that is why a lot of people don't even hire, is because they know when they hire somebody on, they're not going to do the job that they're going to do. They're going to be slower. They're going to make a mistake. What if they take your customer? And it's like all of those things could happen and the risk is not worth it. But hiring is, I was going to say, the number one thing. I feel like practice and speed is the number one thing that has made me fast and able to make the most money per hour. But hiring is definitely number two. Having somebody there to help to paint, even though they can't paint quite as fast as me, but they can do so much. And they help so much, and they're getting paid a fraction of what I'm getting paid, and they're still getting it done. And it makes my per hour so much more. And that is the state that I am in, of wanting to get things done a little bit faster, even though I have time. Okay. I am not completely booked out right now. I have very select projects that I do for a decent amount of money, what I think is decent. We're working on one right now for $9,000. That's what I'm referencing, a decent amount for the Midwest. That's pretty great. I'm happy with it. But I don't take on a lot of small stuff. So even though I don't have those $10,000 projects every single week, it's still worth it to me. Even though I have the time to drag it out, it's still very, very, very worth it to me to hire somebody on to do the flat work. I talked to another artist earlier this year and I was like, do you have somebody that help you? They're like, no, there's no way. I was like, you're losing so much time. Like you're just paying somebody. I will probably pay this year $15,000 in help for painting, maybe. So I'm not using help like a ton all the time, but it's still a good amount. Yeah, maybe 20, probably 20,000. So I'm paying 20,000, but I'm making over $100,000. And the more in simply painting, and I'm working half the time. That is the metric that I want. So the other way, if I wasn't hiring help, I would spend double of the time on these jobs, or close to double anyway. And I would get way less per hour. And I would be working the majority of the year rather than working probably 50% of the time like I do now on painting. Hiring is the key when you start to get the bigger jobs, or you start to get busy, or you feel that like, oh, there's a lot to do. Like, first off, price things correctly, and because you're busy, so you can, and then hire somebody. And I don't think it's too early to ever hire anybody. Even if you have a project coming up and you want to try this out and get it done a little faster, hire an intern, hire somebody for $100 a day, use them 5 days. You're paying them $500, even if you're making $4,000. I think it's so worth it to just hire and just feel that weight lifted and how much faster you can get it done. I have found that if I have 2 people helping me, it definitely gets done faster, but it's a lot more work on me, which and if I have 3 people, that's a lot. That's too much. It's just more than I want to do. So I really like having one person helping me because it's not all that much on my shoulders, but it still helps me a ton. But when I have multiple people, that's like you're becoming a people manager instead of an artist. And that's when it becomes weird. But having just one person, you are not a people manager. You're just an instructor a little bit, but you're still doing your own job, which is so nice. Okay, moving on to the next one. Let's see. The artist I hired paints slow and won't speed up. I think this is why you have a test day, is you can see how fast they go. You can mention and say, hey, I thought you'd be a little bit faster. You can offer to pay them a little bit more if they get a little bit faster, or some kind of incentive if they go a little bit faster. Or if that's just not possible, be like, okay, I'm just going to have to do a day rate for you then. And then this is the day rate at the rate you're at because you're getting this amount done, and just explain it to them. This is the amount you're getting done. This is a really small percentage, and this is the amount that I can pay for that. And just have that conversation with them, or don't hire them. If they're too slow, that's okay. You just have to make the rate work with the speed, and they will get faster if you want to keep them on. But if it's just like a one job thing, then you can just not hire them and hire somebody else. There's a lot of artists out there who need work, and just finding them. My favorite thing, post in the Artist Academy Facebook group. There's a lot of artists here literally everywhere, and a lot of people work together, and I love to see it. And a lot of people work, like they'll like travel different states to work with each other, and it's so fun to see. So post, see who's out there who wants to even intern with you, test it out. I think if you're planning on being at a level that's a little bit higher and having bigger projects and having somebody hire somebody, I don't know that there's any kind of like too soon to hire somebody, even as an intern, to just get the little feeling of it, because you can get used to the speed of people, what they would need, having somebody with you, directing you. It's like, I was listening to a business podcast, and they were like, hire a virtual assistant before you hire like a marketing director or whatever. It just gets you used to communicating with people. And I can't agree more. It just gets that muscle going. And if you spend a couple $100 and learn, it's way better now to try that out with somebody who you're paying $20 or less than somebody you're paying $100 or more. Noticing where the communication gaps are, over explaining, and when you need to check up on them. It just starting slow or starting low will benefit you when you hire more later. Yeah. You hire somebody who doesn't like to take direction from you. So this can sometimes happen when you hire an artist who's older than you or who thinks they have more experience or thinks of themselves as an equal, so they don't want to take direction from you. Or sometimes you hire a friend. They're used to your friend dynamic, and they're not used to having you as a boss. And so it can almost get offensive to them because you're like, hey, can you do this? Hey, can you do that? Like, some people take direction a lot better than others. And I've noticed that. So I'm somebody who I don't take direction very well, and I know that, and don't judge me. So I'm working on it, and I've worked it. But when somebody tells me what to do, I'm like, why? I'm like, you need to explain to me exactly why I'm doing this thing so that I know. I don't like to just be told, hey, paint that green. I'm like, wait, what do you mean? So that helps me be a leader. And like, I explain to them, hey, I need this done because we're going to, this is a real life example. We were on a job, and I was like, hey, you're fading this down like 2 feet when I need you to fade it down like 5 inches. And they're like, oh shoot. I was like, the reason is because we only have so much room for trees and I need you to fade it down 5 inches because we're going to have a neon sign right here. And so if you have too much, it's going to look really off. So sorry to be particular, but this is just how it's going to go. And they're like, oh, okay, great. Like, I don't know that she even needed me to explain that, but some people do. And so just getting in the habit of it, and it makes me feel like I'm not barking orders as much. I'm explaining why it needs to. And so that way and it also just helps them learn, like, this is step 1 so that we can do step 2. And then this is the step 3, but it's got to be step 1 first. And this is why. And just over explaining. You can explain verbally, but anytime you talk about hours or time you need to show up or the address or the schedule or the rate, it needs to be in writing somewhere. Text is fine. Instagram message is fine. It's just got to be in writing, because at the end of it, you don't want somebody coming to you and being like, you said show up at 10. And I'm like, no, I said like 8:10 or whatever. And they're like, what? And then you can just go back to the thing. It happens all the time. People don't mean to. Artist doesn't want to take direction from you. My way of approaching this, oh yeah, just explain. and then if they don't get that, then just move on to another artist. It's just not worth it. Even if you like them, if you don't like the way that you work with them and you've tried to do it a couple different times and you like get an eye roll or you get like a snarky comment or like whatever, okay, boss, like whatever. It's like, talk to them about it. But if it keeps persisting, I have like a 1, 2, 3 strike you're out rule that I implement now. Looking back, I would never fire people. I'd be like, oh, but they mean well, or, I can see myself in them, or like, now I'm like, no, 1, 2, 3, gone. That's done. There was one artist who, man, it was just always something. It was just like, I wanted to help them so bad. And it was just like, they're like, just like on the wrong side of the tracks kind of a thing. And it was like, I was like, oh, they just need a lot of mentorship and they'll get there. And I just feel bad because they've been dealt a really bad hand. And then and then it was like, it just would come on the job and you're like, oh, now I understand why. Like, people just get in their own way sometimes. And I really love to mentor people. Obviously, I love telling people what to do and like making their life better, because I went from like, this to this. And I just, after a while, I was finally like, no, I can't hire you. And she would even like reach out and be like, hey, if you need help on this, I'm like, I can't anymore. No, thanks. I got covered. Like, after a while, it was like canceling on the job last minute, which is like fine sometimes, but when it becomes a habit, or like I would give direction and they'd go off on something else. And I'm like, oh, no. They're like, oh, well, I know I can do this. And I'm like, no, but that's not what I asked. or it was like, they'd come super late, like 4 hours late. And I'm like, well, I'm only here for another 2 hours. and it was just like, it was just like so much all the time. And that's very rare, right? I think that's going to be very rare, but I had to experience that so that I could be a better coach. That's kind of how I think about it. But you just like live and learn. And again, I'm so appreciative of the girl I have working with me now. She is just fantastic. Okay. What do you do when an artist suddenly treats you like competition and not like a community friendly kind of a thing? I think the best thing is just to kill them with kindness. Just like keep doing stuff. Keep commenting on their stuff. If like, do the thing that you want back. If you want people to root you on, then you root people on. But don't get upset when people aren't, I'm trying to like say this in the best way. They're not giving you what you need, even though you're giving them what they want, because it's not always what they need or what they want. And they don't see that you want it this way unless you literally just tell them. And sometimes that's a really awkward conversation. So I don't know. You could, if you have an open communication with them, you just be like, hey, I feel like maybe things are a little different nowadays. I really want to keep, you don't even have to call them out for being like, hey, I feel like you're treating me like competition. You could say something like, hey, I feel like, things are a little different between us nowadays. I'd love to see your stuff. Would love to work with you. Is that, I love the community that we have here. And I just want to make sure that you and I are good or something like that. And I think it maybe might remind them that like you are on their side and you're not wanting to keep or take jobs from them or whatever. But that's definitely a thing. And I get it because I've had people come to the meetups, or I've had people message me and be like, hey, I need to message you privately because there's another girl in the academy that's like in my same area and I don't want her to know about this job, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I get it. I get it because you have to pay your bills too. And it's just a weird thing, especially when somebody gets the job that you wanted, it's like they are your competition a little bit. But as long as nothing bad is coming from it, like they're not like underpricing you, or they're not like putting you down to other people like, oh, don't hire her, then I think it's fine. But when they are doing that, then I think it can be called out. So this is your permission to call somebody out if they are undercutting you, or that they had said something about, hey, don't hire this girl. I don't know. That's what all I have to say about that. Okay. What to do when a fellow artist copies your mural design or makes it really, really similar. So some people are really weird about this and some people don't really care, I've noticed. So I am somebody who I don't really care as much unless they copy it outright. So if somebody is inspired by my art and they make something very similar, but they change it in a way to where like they change the colors or they change some of the imagery or whatever, I'm like, I don't care, because I'm not going to go to Idaho and paint windows for that person anyway. Like they're not taking anything from me. They're just being inspired by my design. So I'm a little biased in this. When people come to me and they're like, so-and-so took my design, I'm like, cool. Did you want to be hired by that business? No? Do you have time to drive all the way over there to the other side of the country, another state to paint with them? No. But they liked your design, so take it as a compliment. And I would say to the artist who a customer asks you, hey, can you recreate this design? Just message the person and say, hey, I really love your design. My customer asked for it. What's a good way that I could, like, I was thinking about doing it, but changing it this way. Is that good? Or can I tag you as like the original design person? Or like you can ask them. And if they don't respond, they don't respond. Like whatever, just do it anyway. Just what? They're not a good business person if they're not checking their DMs. So you do what you can. And I just, especially for like windows, I don't think it matters that much. It's just, I remember in the first couple times that I painted anything in this town and somebody like, I'm going to talk probably like 8-9 years ago. And I remember anybody would copy it or even copy like in similar. I was like, oh my God, how dare they? Oh my gosh. Because I was like, in my defense, I was like, why would, like, obviously they were inspired by my design. It's just down the road. Why wouldn't they hire me to do it? And in reality, they already had a relationship with another artist, or it was their cousin, or it was their whatever. So they wouldn't hire me because then that artist would be like, what the heck? Like, we're related, or we've been friends forever, or like you used me before. And so like, I kind of get it. So as long as they would change it a bit, I've learned to be like, okay, yeah, whatever. But at first I was kind of offended. I was like, I want work. I need work. I don't have as much work. Hire me. Don't just like look at my stuff and then hire someone else for it. Like that kind of sucks. So it does suck. Is it that big of a deal? No. You could say something, but say it nicely. Don't be like, I can't believe you copied me. Like, what the heck? Like, well, and like, don't put them down online. Just be like, hey, I noticed that's very similar. Did you get your idea from me? And don't start it out accusatory. Just say, hey, was that design inspired by me? And mostly they'll say yes. It'll start a good relationship. Be like, okay, well, next time you do something inspired by me, just tag me if that matters to you. And I think that's the best way to go about it. What to do when your artist friend helper that's helping you on a mural posts a mural on their page and tags you weirdly or doesn't tag you at all, or is posted on their website and doesn't give you credit, or like that. What happens when that happens? Because that's not fun. In the beginning, I have done that to people unknowingly, and I've had people do that to me unknowingly. And so I've been on both sides of it. Nowadays, especially when we go to mural meetups, I'm like, put it on your Instagram, like put it everywhere. You can tag me or you don't have to. I don't care. Because the idea of people coming to mural meetups is like, you get this like, it helps your brand. It's good for marketing. People see you painting in other countries and other states, and it just, you see like paint any portion that you created. Plus you can put the whole thing on your website if you want. I don't care. It benefits them. I realize that it is different when you're not coaching other artists and you're not like doing that kind of a thing. Like when you have a job that is your customer that you hire somebody on to help, like it is customary to tag the original artist in every post. I don't make it to where they have to say that I'm working for Andrea. It's weird to say my own name. I don't make it to where they have to, but I will say, I'm like, hey, just tag me. And then if somebody comments and is like, wow, that design is so beautiful, you did an amazing job, how are you inspired by that? Like, obviously tell them, hey, this is actually Andrea's project. I helped her on it. She designed it, whatever. If you post something, people are going to think what they want to think no matter what. If you post it and tag me, people are going to assume that that's your project and they're going to have no idea who I am. Like only our mutual friends are going to know what's up. Like only the people who like know me are going to probably figure that it's my job and not theirs. But it doesn't matter. Like it is kind of a weird situation when somebody like reaches out to that person and is like, hey, I saw you did this project. I want to hire you to do this. And then they get hired from a mural that was mine that they posted. That's kind of a weird gray area. And that was my hang up whenever I wanted to hire people, because I know that when I'm out painting in public and I have multiple people with me, and say I'm not there at the moment, I'm going to get lunch or I'm on a bathroom break, somebody can come up at any time and be like, wow, this is beautiful. Here's my card. Can you paint for me? And it's up to my helper to pass that along to me. And I have had people not do that. I've had people like on my job site, they pass them a card, they keep it, and then they go do the job without telling me. Or they're like, hey, I got this job. Can I hire you? And I'm like, no, you got this job because you're on my job site. I'll take that and I'll hire you. But it's a weird dynamic. People just don't think. People don't think about your side of it. They just think about the opportunities that they get. They think that they are here. They are putting in the work, and if an opportunity lands in their lap, they're going to take it. A lot of people don't put themselves in your situation. So just gently correcting as gently as you can. And I have not been the most gentle at this in the past. So I can say, to not cause complication, gently do all of this. Say, oh, I see that you think this is this, but you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me. So I'm going to take that, because even though I was at the restroom while you got that business card, this is my job site and I will gladly hire you on. And if they argue without it, 1, 2, 3 strike, you're out. That is it. Like all you can do is explain, and most people are going to be fine with it. But I have found that, too many cooks in the kitchen kind of a thing. I want to be the chef and I want to have helpers. And if you want to be the chef with me, I'm totally down if you want to suggest things but too many cooks in the kitchen is a thing, and it can create a lot of friction, and 1, 2, 3 strike, you're out. Anyway, just to end this, I have seen artists, and I've been a part of artists' friendships, and I've seen other artists' friendships that they've worked together, and after you work together for so long, something comes up, something arises to where there is an issue, and one person doesn't see the others. Like it's something that happens, and it's so unfortunate. So I interviewed the girls who paint murals recently. It's an interview like a few episodes back, and they've worked together really well for the past several years. And I'm like, how? Because I've worked with so many people where our pride got in the way or our expectations did not meet. And it's just like, it's really tough to find somebody who is compatible with you to paint with. And I've kissed so many frogs to find my really good helper. But I wanted to make this episode not to just like dish out, the beef and like talk about the drama. It's really just mostly that if you're going to get into this industry and you're going to hire people, which I highly, highly, highly recommend, do everything you can to not burn a bridge. I think burning bridges is the worst thing that you can do in friendships, in the work community, in past customers. I think burning bridges is like it's what nobody wants, and it's not good for anybody. It's not good for you or me. And whenever there is friction, even if I know that I'm doing everything that I can, and I know that it is the other person that is just holding on to negativity or doing something, I still internalize it. And you will too. And you will have this like guilt of like, dang it, I could have done that wrong, or I could have done that right or different. Or it's like, and even though you try your best and there's nothing, sometimes people refuse to see your side of it and there's nothing you can do. But I wanted to talk about it today to normalize it and hopefully keep it from happening to you as much. And maybe some of these scenarios will pop up and you'll know, oh, I shouldn't overreact about this, or, oh, I should give them more pay because they are right, or no, I can stick up for myself and demand this in a nice way, or just be a better boss, because we're our own bosses, right? And then adding humans into any kind of work thing has friction. Like you go to any office building and there's coworker drama. It's the same thing with artists. And the more people and the more you do it, the more it's going to come out. But I hope you go the direction that I have not gone in, which is like hiring people who you don't have friction with and that you can get along with, because it's like an added not fun part of the job. But it is avoidable in some aspects of it, and then some people you just gotta let go of. But yeah. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of our Scanning Podcast. I will see you next week.